Hello and welcome to the coronavirus update for the 3rd of September 2020, which probably won't be quite so chirpy and bubbly for long because I've had one of my coronavirus uh, debunking videos taken down. So this was the video where I debunked the coronavirus conspiracy nut, Dr. Rashid Butter, and I put those doctors in inverted commas because this is the doctor who was, in all due sincerity, injecting kids with cancer with hydrogen peroxide, which is, by its action, bleach. And yes, YouTube just took that video down, jump, gone. And I've put in the appeal, but given that these previous videos here were appealed the best part of 2 months ago now, I'm not holding out any great hope here. You know, I get an automated email every week from YouTube support saying we're working as hard as we can. When I filed these appeals initially, they said, no, the appeal is final. You got rejected, that's it, you're done. And I sort of kicked up a bit of a stink, sort of saying there is no way any human could have watched these videos and come to the conclusion that they were pushing coronavirus conspiracies. They were debunking coronavirus conspiracies. But no, jump, taken down. And on top of that today, another reason why I'm very depressed at the moment is because I've been arguing with people on Twitter, which is something you should never do if you value your sanity. And I was having people tell me in all sincerity that Belgium, why was I focusing on the fact that America is, the most infected country on the planet? Why don't I do it per capita? And for some reason, they kept on bringing up Belgium. So I said, fine, right, let's take a look at the deaths per capita, shall we? At which point the US is cruising in at about 1,000 per day, which is about normal for America at the moment. That's, 9/11 every 3 or so days. Where is Belgium? And it turns out there's Belgium, which has had about 2 deaths per day. Or, 2 deaths today, which is about right for where it's been recently. But we're going to normalize this for population just to make this fair. And America's got a population of about 300 million for their 1,000 deaths. So if Belgium was that size, how many deaths would they have had? Well, Belgium's got about 10 million people in it. So if we multiply this number by 30, we get to 60 deaths. So if Belgium were normalized per population to America, it would have 60 deaths versus America's 1,000. It's just the sheer levels of, how disingenuous people are. It's your daily deaths. About, 5,000 per day at the moment? That's for the world. So about a fifth of the deaths are from America. And if we look at this by country and go to America, you get charts like this for the deaths, where it's never really plateaued off. It's just kept rolling up for America with no conspicuous end in sight here. You really don't get a feeling that this is actually under control yet and about to plateau off. And if you do this for, actually, I wonder if I can just type it in there. Let's just try this. Let's go for the gamble. Belgium. And if we do Belgium, there we go, perfectly. You'll see that the total deaths in Belgium, it's kind of plateaued off. And has plateaued off for some considerable period of time. So, I was going through that on Twitter, which I should just never have done, but whatever. I'm having a drink at the moment. It's been a tough day. And then we come to why this isn't going to end anytime soon. And ironically, it's probably because it's not fatal enough. You might think that 200,000 odd in America, getting on for 1 million dead now for the world isn't enough. Well, no. I mean, so I was getting people arguing, it's just the flu. What are you making such a big deal about it? Well, it turns out even about, the worst flu season for, what looks like at least the best of the past decade was about 60,000 in America. So we've only had half of the swine flu, optimistically, half of a year's worth, and we're already at 3 times as bad as the worst flu season in America in the last decade. And, you can, we might even be halfway. And this is the problem, that it doesn't kill enough people. And if America, ironically enough, you would have thought would be taking it more seriously, seeing as they've never really got it under control. But you take a look in places like the UK, where, it was going up, people take it seriously, they go in for the quarantines and the lockdowns, and they sort of get it under control. And about now, people start saying, well, there's not much coronavirus around. We did all of that shut down, and look, there wasn't thousands of, other than the 40,000 dead, there weren't thousands of people dying. And so people basically get relaxed, and you get a gazillion coronavirus conspiracy nuts. So this was actually footage from London this last weekend. There was a similar protest in Berlin. Just saying that it's not America that's got a monopoly on these nutters. And hopefully the audio will work on this. And
throw a pair of balls and get on with it. The main reason I'm here is really...
So, if you didn't catch that was some woman yelling, there's this thing called hydrogels. So, yeah, apparently this is actually a thing. Oh, she's absolutely crazy as well. She goes on about, it's not as bad as swine flu. In fact, let's take a listen to what she's got to say.
They bring out mandatory masks, and yet they bring out eat out to help out. So there's loads of people in a restaurant.
So she's saying there's contradictions in what the government says. Well, yes, you can have that, and there still be a contagious disease around.
None of it makes sense. There's too many questions that are unanswered, and people just aren't asking them.
Yes, too many questions that are unanswered. That's a really good reason for ignoring a pandemic. I mean, this is just conspiracy nutters all over the place. There are just so many questions that haven't been answered, like the ones that were never asked. Yes, reptilians, aliens, and demons, Jesus saves. Hang on, I want more of this woman. She was absolutely fuck nuts crazy.
Issues that are in place are unnecessary when there's things like swine flu had a higher mortality rate than COVID.
It had a higher mortality rate, but COVID has killed 40. Hang on, I think swine flu killed 2,000, and this has killed almost 1 million. So it's 500 times. Oh, it's killed 500 times more people. Oops, no, I didn't want to subscribe. Unsubscribe.
They bring out mandatory masks, and yet they bring out eat out to help out. So there's loads of people in a restaurant. None of it makes sense.
Brain is just a bag of cats. Anyway, this is the problem. The coronavirus just hasn't killed enough people, so people assume that it doesn't exist. And with discipline like that, you're never going to get it under control. And that was in London. And, let's see if we can find... this was London as well.
And inject us with God knows what Bill Gates wants to inject into our bodies. I don't know about you. But I've got one message for these guys. and I hope it.
Yeah, and he sings a song about it. But, you know, the original calculations is you need about one person in six. Oh, pardon me. Not taking it seriously, and you can't control the virus with a natural spread rate like this one's got, and you get the odd doctor sort of saying that no, masks will kill you. Yeah, and it doesn't look good. The only upside is the worst case scenario is it can only kill, worst case scenario is it kills about 2% of the people, which is admittedly 200 million people worldwide. But it's only 2% of the population. Mankind will go on quite happily. And those that survive will, be mostly okay. They'll have some immunity to it. This is the traditional way of making yourself immune to viruses. But I mean, beyond that, if these people aren't going to take it seriously, it's basically impossible to control the spread of the virus until you get up to sort of herd immunity levels, which are might not be. So herd immunity levels for the planet are about getting on for 100 million dead. But yeah, I mean, if it killed more people, they might take it more seriously. But I mean, how do you educate these people? Anyway, so yeah, virtually everywhere in Europe is resurging at the moment. France, hugely so. France had some huge spikes, like over 5,000 per day. Oddly enough, on the flip side, Sweden doesn't look so bad anymore. I mean, all right, they've got 10 times the death toll of the neighbouring country, and in total, their cases are sort of rivaling China, but it's sort of levelling off. So, actually, that's not too bad either. If I remember rightly, Sweden's got 10 million population, so even if you were to scale up to UK numbers, that would only be 50-ish thousand, which is kind of where the UK is at the moment. So, I mean, maybe there is some hope that, everyone's already had it or something. Although, honestly, Sweden is a peculiar country in that, very sparsely populated, lots of natural social distancing, and a population that, trusts its government. So when the government says, you really should socially distance, they don't all gather in large groups to protest the government telling them what to do. I mean, part of me, why don't you suggest to these people that, crossing against the lights, it's all a government conspiracy, because the government's doing that. That's how they control your behavior, and you should have the right to walk into the street whenever you want. I don't know. And there's this one I found quite funny. But this just shows how out of kilter I am with so many people in the world. This was some woman in Australia, a sort of COVID Karen type thing, and she was organising on Facebook a protest, a gathering to protest for freedom in the middle of the coronavirus pandemic, and the police came around saying she'd done it all on her own Facebook and arrested her, and she immediately is like, oh no, you can't arrest me, I'm going for an ultrasound scan, I'm pregnant, none of which stopped her organising her super spreader event. But
Excuse me, what What on earth?
Just put your phone down.
Can you like?
So, I mean, the whole thing's cool. I mean, to me, this just has so much sovereign citizen vibes. Yeah, and at the end, what he's called? He's Jones or something. Alan Jones. There we go. He says, "Oh, this is a disgrace. It's terrible impingement on our freedom." And it's like, fine. You want to do it that way? Yeah. Darwin called. He says, if you don't want to quarantine, if you don't want to socially distance, that's fine. Anyway, so that's the rather depressing coronavirus update for the beginning of September 2020. I wish you good luck for the winter season yet to come. And many thanks for watching. Ciao.